With an increase up to an $8.95 annual fee, should you be happy or angry? Today we're going to look at all the new changes and credits, how to think about it objectively, and what you might want to do if it doesn't make sense. Big favor before we dive into everything is to give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit that's on the fence, then share this with them. Okay, right off the bat, let's do a cheat sheet. They took the old $6.95 annual fee card, kept all the multipliers and credits, but they added a $200 annual fee, and for that, they added some credits. The key question is whether the value of the credits to you and how you value them is more than $200, so the annual fee increase. There's 3 key credits and a few mini ones. First up, we have up to $300 for Lululemon, and it's up to $75 per quarter. I know a lot of guys think of it as women's wear and tights, but they have some pretty good normal pants for men. For example, their ABC pants are super comfortable and what I wear all the time. ABC stands for anti-ball crushing, in case you're curious. If you want something a bit more business casual, then they also have commission pants, which are their slacks. Super comfortable as well, and they wear really nice. Lululemon are my go-to pants and the ones I mean every day, and especially for travel. They don't really work for super formal, but for everyday life, they're awesome. It does depend on your office, but if it's more business casual, then that might be fine as well. I can't speak for New York since I think that has its own rhyme and rhythm, but for the Bay Area, even if you work in investment banking, they're the norm and fine. Pretty good swim trunks as well. I've worn them around the world and they've worked wonders. Also pretty comfortable sweatpants for the weekends. Their sweaters are also pretty nice, whether for travel or for everyday life. This one's more of a thin one for either running or for post or pre-workout, and pretty convenient with the finger hole. I think this is the first time I've done a clothing haul on this channel, and it's a lot of my closet, so I don't have any complaints. To be fair, I also live in one of their top 5 markets, so maybe things are different elsewhere. But yeah, feels like a fair credit and one that's pretty easy. Next up, we have up to $400 for Resi, and it's broken down into up to $100 per quarter. So this is a new credit, at least for this card. One big win is that unlike the ones from the Deltas, it's not monthly. In this case, a $100 date every 3 months seems more than reasonable. The big obstacle is location and how many options you have. So for example, in San Francisco right now, there's 160 options, in Seattle there's 40, LA has 440, and Austin only has 60. One big shift from before though, is that there's now a pretty big range. On the low end, you have affordable to-go burgers, and on the high end, you have John George. Check your area at the restaurants near you, but it's not been bad for us. Our go-tos for more affordable options are Pinza Rosa and also Angie's Pizza. For mid-level dates, think $30 to $60, we have Loliho Yacht Club, which is Hawaiian, King Cow, and Nari. If anything, the main complaint is that a lot of the best restaurants, the high-end ones, have actually shifted away from Resi. If you are more into upscale and fine dining, then this shift has been pretty noticeable in the last 6 months. A lot of it has to do with incentives and also just money that OpenTable is paying to these restaurants, at least in the short term. If your bar for food is high, let's say $100 to $180 per person per head, then you might not have a good time with Resi. Also for reference, even though this is their current popular city list, that doesn't mean that they don't have options elsewhere, let's say San Antonio. It's tougher, but if you're in a major city, it's still non-zero. Also, in case you're wondering about the breakdown for the popular cities, on the West Coast, LA is the big hub with 440. In Central, you have a bunch of options like Chicago and DFW having a ton. I feel like East Coast is where all the options are with Atlanta, Boston, Miami, Philly, DC, and especially the Mecca of New York. If you don't like the restaurants, if you don't eat out, then I'd be careful about overvaluing this. Next one's a bit of a bonus one, but it's up to $120 for Uber One. So funny enough, I have been paying for this already, so I get value, but I know a lot of other people won't. Over the past month, it saved me $44. The main perk are no delivery fees, discounts, 6% credits on rides, and surge savings. The credit should fully cover the perk as long as you keep the card. If you do use Uber Eats, it can add up in the long term. If you don't though, then it's a nice to have, but probably immaterial for your math. Another mini one is up to $200 per year as an Aura Ring credit. Note that it's for new hardware only, memberships are excluded. That means you're covering about half of the Aura Ring 4 or pretty much the full cost of an Aura Ring 3. One thing to watch out for is that they do have a monthly subscription fee of $5.99 per month for new members. We've been using it since 2020 and I'm a fan, but might be less useful if you already have an Apple Watch. Another mini one is the venue collection concessions. Think stadiums and arenas, where you get 10% back up to $250 per year. This is through December 31st, 2026. Enrollment is required. I personally avoid stadium food given the inflated prices, but depends on you there. The prior digital entertainment credit also got a small buff. Before it was $20 per month, and now it's $25 per month, totaling $300 per year. They also expanded the partner list. As of filming, options include Disney+, ESPN+, Hulu, New York Times, Paramount+, Peacock, Wall Street Journal, and YouTube. We already pay for Disney Plus with the Hulu Bundle Premium for $20, so we're happy campers. I've been paying for YouTube Premium since it was called YouTube Red, so this is a big win for our stack. We do a lot of last minute travel, and I usually spend my time in the lounge downloading stuff to listen to in the background during the flight. The last big one is up to $600 for hotel credits semi-annually, and it's up to $300 every 6 months. This works for FHR, and it doesn't have a night minimum, so any stays are fine, and also the hotel collection with a minimum of 2 nights. This one's interesting and technically not fully new. It is replacing the old up to $200 hotel credit that was previously on the card. $300 gives you a lot more headroom, but it's still tough in some cities. So for example, New York and LA are very aggressive and very difficult to use. That said, there are sweet spots. Las Vegas is one we've talked about a lot, but also international. If you go to Taipei, Hong Kong, and Bali, there's a lot of very good affordable ones. Another good domestic one is Portland. For example, the Duddy Way, which is part of Hilton, is under FHR and about $180 per night. It depends on how you travel, but we often do one-night stays. In that case, for one night stay, we're paying $180 and we're getting $100 food and beverage, $60 for breakfast, and $60 through Hilton Diamond. In total, $220 for food, which isn't bad. It works for us and how we travel, but even if you're not that aggressive, there's still options and it's still fine. For Vegas, you have a bunch of choices, and our favorite one right now is Fontainebleau. Base rate is $168, and with the resort fees and taxes, it's up to about $253. Same idea with the breakfast credit and $100 food and beverage, and you get 4 p.m. late checkout, which means you can hop around and it's not annoying. Also, if you are curious about this new hotel, we did do a full video on the travel channel going through everything and the FHR experience. If you travel abroad, especially to Asia, then there's a lot of good choices. 2 of our go-to options are the Shangri-La in Taipei and also the Langham in Hong Kong. Langham being credits rich. It does depend on the dates, but if you are a good deal seeker, you can often find it in the $150 to $200 range. For context, that's in the same range as a Holiday Inn. It's not the fanciest hotel, it's not the Rosewood or Ritz-Carlton, but it's good value for what it is, especially with FHR, and especially with the 3 Michelin star restaurant, Tang Court, to credit. For each of our stays, we're doing a 3 Michelin star dim sum day, which is hard to complain about, especially when dim sum there is cheaper than San Francisco. We like travel, we like food, so easy win. Okay, so for all of this, should you be angry or happy? If you currently have the card, the question is whether you can get at least $200 in value from the new credits, subtracting the value from some of the updated ones. After discounting, if the net value in your pocket is at least $200, then you're impartial. If it's $300 or $400 or more, then the card is a net win for you. On a side note, if you want to learn more about cards and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that the cards make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. We also do have a calculator if you want to run the numbers for your situation, that way you can actually check the math. I'll link to it down below, but it should also pop up if you Google card name worth it AskSebby. Also a reminder that all the other credits are still there. Whether you're debating keeping the card or getting the card, there's a lot going on. The super easy ones, for me at least, are Uber and also the Airline Fee Credit. I take Uber a few times a month, and as long as Waymo's twice the price still, I'm probably not making the full switch. As of filming, the Airline Fee Credit is super easy if you know what you're doing. If you're into basketball, it's pretty much a bank shot. As long as they're going to fly, the expiration window is pretty big. Otherwise, additional collection still works with Delta. We do have a blog post linking to different data points on what works, but it can change. Rationale for a blog post is that it's easier to update when that happens. The other travel ones are Clear and Global Entry. It depends on airport and timing, but Clear has been a pretty nice line skip, especially if you don't have pre-check or if that line's long as well. For the lifestyle credits, it very much depends on you, so we don't value the Walmart Plus one since we just haven't used it, but I know that some people are super fans and love it. Equinox, it depends on your gym and other people around you. Potentially a ton of value if you know what you're doing, but definitely not for everyone. Last one, Saks, and pretty easy if you or your player 2 likes cosmetics. A lot of lotions, face stuff, perfumes are going to be the same prices as elsewhere, for example, Sephora. The one potential issue is going to be locations, so for us in San Francisco, our main one actually closed. You can do online and pay for shipping, otherwise we've just been going to other ones in other cities when we visit. For example, Vegas. In terms of multipliers, it's more or less the same. Nothing material has changed. They did add some terms for some new 2x ones, but that doesn't really move the needle. The main draw is still the 5x on airlines booked directly or through their travel portal on up to $500K in spend per calendar year. Also 5x on prepaid hotels booked through their travel portal. Lounge access is the same, so for you, and no guest. You also get Delta Lounge access when flying Delta, but it is capped at 10 visits per calendar year. The exception is if you spend $75K or more on the card in a calendar year, and then you unlock guesting and unlimited Delta visits. If you do end up doing a lot of Delta visits past that cap, it might make sense to add another card or one of the Delta ones that have more visits. Main idea though is that the old card didn't change, you're just paying $200 more for those new benefits. Okay, so what if you like the old card, but you hate the new credits and they don't make any sense? In that case, I still wouldn't cancel yet, and there's two strategies. Strategy number one is to keep the card while you can, while you're still under the $695 annual fee. The rationale is that if you liked it before and it made sense, it probably still makes sense now until that fee jumps. So they added stuff, you can try it out and try to use something, and if it still doesn't really vibe with you, then that's fine. When that next annual fee hits is when you make that decision. That leads into strategy number two, to call or message them for a retention offer. Tell them that you don't like the card and you don't like the changes, and that you're thinking about canceling. A lot of the times they'll either give you cash back or points, whether with spend or without spend, so you're getting some value. In my experience, it works a lot better when the annual fee hits and you do it within that window. Doing it randomly is a bit tougher. If you do end up canceling within 30 days of that annual fee hitting, they refund you the fee, or sometimes a proration of the annual fee. Note that if you do get a retention offer, whether spend-based or just money up front, you cannot cancel for 12 months. You're pretty much agreeing to keep it for that period. If it's a spend-based offer, it depends on the other intro bonuses you're working on, but generally still makes sense. If you get no retention offer and you still hate the card and the credits and you're not getting any value, then probably just cancel. Not all cards are for everyone, and there's a lot of options out there that might be a better fit. Just because I like my steaks medium rare doesn't mean that everyone else does. Your mileage may vary, so do what makes sense for you. Okay, so we talked about the changes, what the card is and was, and also what you might want to do. One thing I'm kind of curious about is what's driving these changes. For Uber One, I'm guessing it's just Uber fronting it since they want more users. So it's a pretty easy way to boost numbers in terms of subscriptions. Wow, look at how many people are subscribed to Uber One and love the product. There's also the added benefit of getting you more ingrained in their ecosystem. So for example, if you only do rides right now, with this new benefit, you're kind of incentivized to maybe test Uber Eats. Lululemon is a bit of a shock given how big they are. At the same time, they are struggling right now with tariffs driving down sales and their stock price. Yeah, across the board, it's not a good time and there's a lot of concern. It's still not small, so it's a 19.5 billion market cap, but it's down from 2019-2020 levels that was twice as much. If you look at the 5-year, it's down 44%, and the 1 year doesn't look good, down 38%. I am kind of curious what their agreement looks like since it seems like it was on the fence. So whether Lululemon is fronting the full credit or there's something being paid. Maybe I'm crazy, but I can't imagine them paying nothing. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a usage-based model, so let's say they pay 50% of the actual credits used. The main reason being that it's not just software, it's not something they can turn on and off, it's something physical, and there is more of a cost. Resi's the one that's super interesting because they actually own the service. So technically there's no cost for them and it's coming from marketing's budget. We talked about this earlier, but there is a battle going on behind the scenes with Resi and OpenTable, and this gives them ammo for when they go to restaurants and try to re-engage them. On their end, instead of running bus ads, they're giving you credits to actually use the service. The entire idea though is to get sales on the back end and to increase enterprise value. In case you're curious, OpenTable makes 25 cents to $1 per diner, and then a flat monthly SaaS fee. Resi makes money the same way, but usually higher ticket, so a few dollars to up to 50 per person. The only reason they'd even do this is because the math works, at least on someone's spreadsheet. If it doesn't add value in the long term or make them money, then they're not going to do it. If it doesn't make sense, it often doesn't make sense. Same exact idea with the hotel credit, where they own the portal. Hotel commissions are generally 15 to 30%, and they are making value on the spread. The reason to increase the credit and make it semi-annual is so you're incentivized to use it more often. Also a reminder that min-maxers are not the target audience, they do have normal people. For the entertainment credit, I'm guessing it's being fronted by the partners, and software has a low marginal cost, so it works. For Aura Ring, given the credit size, it feels like a way to get rid of old stock last-gen rings and get new customers without booking a direct loss and just giving it away. Basically, it's a more efficient way of marketing since it's getting it in the hands of high-value customers. Reminder that just because someone's winning doesn't mean that you're losing. So for example, even though Lululemon might be losing money at the start, it might be getting them a new customer that didn't exist. If that ends up fixing their stock price, then it's chump change. Again, in the last 6 months, they've lost 50%, so $20 billion in market cap and value. The interesting switch for them might be the user base. Apparently, a lot of guys online don't seem to realize that Lululemon sells more than women's wear. Yes, they do have men's clothes and some pretty comfortable ones. The question for them is, what's the lifetime value of this customer, especially if they otherwise wouldn't have converted? Also, yes, their items can be expensive, but you can also wait for sales, and that's what I do. It does tend to be the weirder colors, but still not bad. Again, if you want to learn more about cards and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and down below in the description box. Also, calculator down below if you want to run your numbers, or Google for it, card name AskSebby, worth it, should pop up. If you made it to this point, leave a green shorts emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions: what are your thoughts on the credits, and which ones do you like? Which ones do you not like? Number 2, are you happy with the change? Do you get more value, or is it not the best? Number 3, how would you rank this change compared to all the other ones we saw this year? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.